Hey, Foot Clan, today we are getting into rankings, early rankings, and you know what that means. That means it is time to get your mind back on fantasy football for the 2019 season, and there is no better way to do it than getting yourself prepared with the Ultimate Draft Kit. It is the tool to win your league every year. Get it at its lowest price right now as a pre-order at ultimatedraftkit.com.
Hi, this is Eric Dickerson, NFL Hall of Famer, and you're listening to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, coming to you from pristineauction.com studios with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Welcome in. It's another fine show. It's another fine Tuesday. It is April 2nd. The scourge that is April Fool's Day is over, Mike. I'm sure are you laughing at the fact 24 hours has passed?
Well, look, here's what I know about April.
Time is over.
Here's what I know about April Fool's Day. If we somehow end up in the new America, Purge Day actually becomes a real thing.
Yeah.
Just like the movies.
Right.
It all started because of April Fool's Day.
Oh, you're saying
So,
that's
I hope you're all happy in 20 years.
Mike, always a big fan of a day of jolly fun.
See, the thing is, I'm good.
No.
I'm good with like a fun prank on someone.
Let's say I change your phone background to a baboon butt.
Hilarious.
Okay.
That's hilarious. Where I draw the line is lying to people.
Okay.
That's the problem.
Like, for example, like if you and your wife told your whole family you're pregnant.
Oh, that's the worst. The absolute worst. Or if I come in here and I'm like, hey, guys, Joe Mixon's my number one running back. He's not.
Oh, okay. All right. That's good to know. We've got the consensus early running back rankings on the show today.
Actually, he is. He's my number one
What?
guy. He's not April 2nd.
You were really off the rails. Welcome into the show. I wanted to have a little fun. There's actually two quick questions today. You guys didn't know this. There's one quick question about Jordan Howard. There was a big trade. We're talking about the impact. There was a second one that I posed to the Foot Clan because I just wanted to know the answer. All right? And I said that I asked them this. I said, look, you're on a cross-country road trip. Suddenly you blow a tire. You pull off to the side of the road. It's a remote desert landscape. Mm-hmm. A car pulls up behind you. Someone is stopping to help.
Mm-hmm. Shia LaBeouf.
And I wanted to know. I said, who do you want to lend a hand? Andy, Mike, or Jason?
Now, I want to interject here real quick.
Okay.
I saw the poll.
I did not see this.
I voted on the poll.
I'm gonna go.
So you know what's going on.
And for the first time in my life, like we've got, the Spitballers, we put out the poll every week from our fun drafts. And I don't care if I think I won or not. I always vote for me. I could not get myself
to vote for
to
yourself?
vote. I wouldn't want it to be me for
Brooks,
so many reasons. No, I did not vote for
Where is
myself.
this poll?
Brooks, did you know that this was up?
I did see you sent that out.
on the FF Ballers.
I was going to have you guess. It's on the FF Ballers. That's why I asked you for the login earlier today, Mike. So here is the poll results, in case you're curious. Mike is winning the poll. 45% of people would want to see Mike get out of that car.
Well, because they just want to see me get out.
Shocking. I'm at 37%. Jason with a cool 18% of the vote.
Sorry, people.
Because
I would
those
be
people,
of no service to you.
I was going to say, those people would not have... They wouldn't get back on the road, but they would be highly entertained.
Oh, we'd have a great time. It would be a great day for them.
Waiting for the tow truck.
But, yes, it would be a great day while waiting for a tow truck.
All right, follow us on Twitter at the FF Ballers. That way you can weigh in. Here is the actual quick question of the day. How does the Jordan Howard trade impact both the Eagles and the Bears' backfields? Jordan Howard was traded for half a box of toothpicks.
At best.
It can go down to a sixth-round pick.
It's not the flavored ones.
No.
It's not those nice,
Are those better?
The cinnamon ones?
Yeah, those are strong,
They
man.
made you a lot cooler in grade school.
If they
I'll
were
tell you that.
cinnamon?
Oh, they were currency back
All
then.
right. Well, I didn't realize that. You went to a weird school, bro.
It's like cigarettes in prison.
Yes.
With cinnamon toothpicks.
You didn't have that? Did anyone else have that?
No.
Okay.
You lived a charmed life, Mike. Eagles, they acquired Jordan Howard from the Bears for a 2026 round pick. What are your thoughts on this deal, and how does it affect both of those backfields?
I'll take a stab at the Bears situation. I think the big winner here is Mike Davis.
Agreed.
Now, Tariq Cohen, a lot of people are excited for him, but Mike Davis, they brought him in. He's basically like he is a well-rounded, not special at anything back that can do everything, and that's what they wanted Jordan Howard to be. They tried like crazy this last year to get Jordan Howard to be able to catch the ball, and you saw Mike Davis use.
You know who he is?
Who Mike Davis is?
Yeah.
Give me the comp.
Damian Williams.
Yeah. No, I get it. That's not a bad comp.
Doesn't have a.
They hang
doesn't
out.
have the burst.
They hang out, and they were like, "Man, if we could get one contract between the two of us."
Now, so he's the big winner here, as well as the opportunity.
Cohen's still a winner, though,
for a rookie to come in, because now if they were to draft someone with some good capital, they get a third-round rookie running back, I think it's a great situation for them to come in. Had Jordan Howard been there, it would have been murky. You wouldn't have been able to put your trust there.
I actually think it's right now today, Mike, you're 100% right. Tariq Cohen, Mike Davis, big winners. If they draft someone, it can change quickly because Jordan Howard was a known non-pass catching commodity that was somehow permanently in the doghouse despite consistent numbers, although since his rookie season, yards per carry have gone down year after year. He's just 25 years old, but this was
you know who Jordan – I have the comp for Jordan Howard. He's Jeremy Hill.
Yeah, from a youth production decline standpoint. That's not – I don't like hearing that as a Jordan Howard dynasty owner. Now, on the Philadelphia side – no, you're not wrong. On the Philadelphia side, though, low-risk investment to get a banger into town. Corey Clement couldn't do it in opportunities to be the guy. They barely even let him try. Josh Adams, there was talk of him being cut this offseason. It looks like Clement and Adams will be there, but they're going to play a subsidiary, a role behind them.
Right.
I think I was going to say the wrong word there.
A subsidiary.
That's definitely
that works.
Does it?
I think so.
Nah, I'm taking grammar advice.
Subterranean.
A subterranean role.
We got it.
Beneath the earth. Here's the deal. Jordan Howard, I like it.
Less important than, but related or supplementary to something.
So I was right about that.
Should have trusted your gut. But
I really should have.
Now you look like a second guesser.
Now I asked
Jason
Jason for grammar advice and spelling advice. Like you could spell that word.
I spelled it right the first time. I was shocked. Google did not correct me.
Here's the reality, though, to me. I don't think that the outcome to the season is probably going to be a whole lot different for Jordan Howard in Philadelphia than Chicago. But I like the fact that there is a bending upside instead of a bending downside. In Chicago, you could have ended up in a situation where Matt Nagy threw his hands up and was just kind of tired of dealing with finding a role for Jordan Howard. Philadelphia wants to find a role for Jordan Howard.
Right.
Now, if Jordan Howard's no good, he was going to fail in both places if that's the case. But at least in Philadelphia, they have weapons on that team. They've got a nice-looking offense. I think there's opportunity for, double-digit touchdowns for Jordan Howard.
That's everything. It comes down to touchdowns because Wendell Smallwood is still there as well. I mean, there's 4 guys. Now, they brought in to me, he's going to be LeGarrette Blount for Philadelphia.
Yeah, I saw you tweeted about that.
A couple years back, they brought him in when they made the Super Bowl run. And Jordan Howard, LeGarrette Blount's numbers that year, 173 carries on the ground, 766 yards, but only 2 touchdowns for LeGarrette Blount. So that's not me saying Jordan Howard won't get the touchdowns, but it's
up in the air.
Risky business.
It's up in the air, no doubt about it. We'll have to see what happens in Philly this year. Jordan Howard, at least he's got a starting role.
Starting-ish.
I will say this, man. The Eagles, they're such a smart organization. I mean, the fact that they trade nothing for a real, genuine improvement at the running back position, they pay him nothing, and then because they traded for him and basically own the rights, should Jordan Howard at age 25 go out and sign with someone else next year, they get a compensatory pick back that's better than the one they gave up to have the player play for them. Just really smart.
Didn't they get a pick for Golden Tate?
Yeah, they will.
Did you guys see how Tampa Bay
Screwed everything up?
Because of the signings that they made, lost a couple compensatory picks?
Yeah. You got to know how to play the game, and there's certain teams that know how to play.
By the way, shout out to Matt Purpura on Twitter. He makes the point that Grandpa Andy would be the most prepared with the necessary materials and, most importantly, a AAA membership if you broke down on the side of the road.
No offense, Mike. I mean, I see both of you every day. I definitely voted for Andy. I know he would be the most efficient at changing my tire.
I don't blame you. I can do it. but I will say this. Hopefully we have cell service because I may need to jump onto YouTube.
See, I 100% can change a tire. I know how. I don't need the YouTube. I just absolutely am unwilling.
Oh, it's the worst.
I'm not going to do it.
You can get a AAA membership by being AARP is what I was thinking
Yes.
of.
Jason,
that's 55 or older or a
can you
rocking
change
chair.
this tire? Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm not going to.
Little help?
It's
Nah.
like can I go to the bathroom?
All right, let's get into the news.
News and notes from around the league, presented by Sleeper.
There's a new Krampus in town. Raiders have agreed to terms with Isaiah Crowell,
Yes.
formerly of the Jets, on a 1-year contract. I don't know if Mike's so excited for Isaiah Crowell's production or my demise.
A little bit of both.
A little bit of both. Look, the Raiders add Isaiah Crowell to a backfield that includes Jalen Richard, Chris Warren,
Jalen Richard.
Richard.
That's fine.
And, look, they're candidates to pick somebody up in the draft. They are.
Yeah.
It'll be an interesting situation there because Marshawn Lynch could still return. If Marshawn Lynch still returns, you can slot Isaiah Crowell firmly into that Doug Martin role.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, I would agree.
If
It's a win for now for
yeah,
Crowell.
Yep, no doubt. All right, let's go ahead and initiate the hype train, guys. It's important. We got to get it on the tracks. Mike Vrabel, wouldn't you know, he'd like to build the offense around Derrick Henry, and better than that, he'd like to tell everybody about it right here, right now in the offseason.
I would like to speak further on this. So when this came out, I was on the clock in a startup dynasty league trying to decide whether to take Henry. As I looked into this, it was not just Vrabel. So the tight end coach who took over the offensive coordinator role, he was talking about it. The owner of the Titans was talking about it. Vrabel was talking about it. They all said they figured something out at the end of the year when they started giving Henry 18 carries a game, and they won their games, got in the playoffs, and they all said, this is what we're going to build around. This is what we want to do. So, but Andy, you said it best in the studio. I think it was Friday before we left. If Derrick Henry sucks, it doesn't matter. Like, they want to build around him, and they want to give him the ball. But if they give him the ball 22 times and he's running at 3.6 yards per carry like he's done for most of his career so far, they're not going to be able to keep doing it. But I will say this. I think he succeeds. I think he's got fresh legs. He is a beast. They're figuring out how to use him. Reading more into it, the tight end coach taking over for the offensive coordinator role talked about the zone scheme that works well with Henry's style, and that was part of what they found last year, and they're going to implement that and build the offense for Henry because Henry can't run in every style. You can't just plug Henry into any team and have him succeed. But what he's good at, he's great at. And so, yeah, I'm a believer.
I think that's well said, and we have to.
It only took 3.75 years in the league.
Is that his yards per carry?
Oh, it's both.
All right, more hype train news. GM of the Colts.
Man, my guy.
Chris Ballard says the team believes Marlon Mack can play on all three downs. Do you buy the Marlon Mack hype? There's been talk of Jay Ajayi coming in for a workout.
No,
being
he's out.
signed. Marlon Mack now has the hype.
We are undefeated.
Mike, speak to your guy. What should the Foot Clan do about Marlon Mack since you are the Marlon Mack guy?
All I care
Truther.
about is who's playing running back for the Indianapolis
You've said
Colts.
that time and time again.
And if it's going to be Marlon Mack, he's going to be very successful.
Is Nyheim Hines going to be underdrafted?
No.
Okay.
Yes.
I was going to say.
Who weighed in there?
Brooks did. Brooks is a huge believer in Nyheim Hines. Tried to get me to draft him in our Dynasty League. I did not.
Good for you.
Thank you. But I know Brooks. Brooks does not chime in on his own often.
Only when he's so compelled internally.
He is a true believer. And I will say this, Brooks, you're a very good fantasy football player. You've had a great dynasty team. You've got a good eye for this.
Uh-oh. Where's this going?
So, maybe.
All right, one more piece of hype. Jay Gruden. He is excited for second-year wide receiver Trey Quinn, is, quote, ready to watch him jump into the slot role and dominate the position. We don't just take above-average play here. We take domination to the bank.
I think he could. Trey Quinn was a great college player. Massive, massive production. Just didn't fit the correct profile for NFL teams. I think he was Mr. Irrelevant back last year or so. I mean, he was very, very, very late in the draft. But I think he's a good player. We'll see if he can succeed with Case Keenum
I was going to say Case Keenum
Calcium Colt
loves
throwing him the ball.
Yeah, Case Keenum loves him some shorts.
He does.
Yeah, he wears the shorts.
He loves shorts. He loves jorts, cargos.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
And he likes Trey Quinn in the slot.
Yeah.
Because about 8 yards from line of scrimmage is his power zone.
a lot of targets in that area. Obviously, vacated targets coming with Jamison Crowder going away. I mean, Trey Quinn is a guy where I am personally happy that we are recording this the day before, because I plan on my next round. I'm in like the 15th, 16th
Are you gonna
round.
grab him?
I'm grabbing Trey Quinn here in my draft.
Now, to be fair, Jay Gruden also said that Jordan Reed was going to buck the trends and be back and be a great player again.
Yeah. Was he wearing the lie detector test on that one?
I don't know.
All right, don't forget, switch your Dynasty League to Sleeper. Download the Sleeper app today. You can get news. You can get one of the best platforms that exists, and they're always improving.
And before we jump into the rankings, want to remind you about our
rankings.
Very excited for the rankings.
Very excited.
Remind you about the Side Pod Entertainment. That's the name of the game on the Spitballers podcast. We just have a good time answering absolutely ridiculous questions. New episodes drop every Monday. Right into work in style. Hit the gym. It's a gas.
Have a laugh.
Just don't listen to the Spitballers while doing heavyweights.
Sure.
Yeah. Not good for health.
But Spitballers Pod, wherever you listen to your podcasts.
All right, it's time to get into the early top 10 running backs.
Running backs.
See, we're getting into running backs. All right. This is the April 2nd episode of the show. Here's our early running back ranks. We've all ranked out our top 15, 16, 17 running backs at this point. Put them together in a spreadsheet, figured out the consensus.
This excludes rookies, although I don't anticipate that.
I don't either.
I don't anticipate that any rookie is going to pop into the top 10 running backs this season.
Yeah, I think you're fair to say that. I think that's right. There is no Saquon entering the NFL this season. Number one, let's start it right here at the top, Ezekiel Elliott.
Mm-hmm.
I think people will be surprised.
Number one. I agree with you. I think they will. He is number one for Jason and Mike. He is number two on my list. What is there to say about Ezekiel Elliott that hasn't been said, and why do you guys have so much confidence in him at the top of the ranking?
So for me, it's all about the transition of the Dallas offense. Zeke turned into a pass catcher. The pass catcher we knew he could be from his tape at back in college, but they wouldn't use him that way for whatever reason, and then they finally unleashed him. 95 targets. He had 4 fewer targets than Alvin Kamara. I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous when you're talking about Ezekiel Elliott, who, since he has entered the league, has led the league in rushing yards per game on a per-game basis in all 3 years that he has played, plus positive regression coming in the touchdown area. His rookie season, he scored a rushing touchdown on about every 21 carries. That's pretty frequent. But then the next year it balanced out. It was to 34. And then last year, every 50 carries, he scored a rushing touchdown. I don't think that holds up. The offense has improved with the addition of Amari Cooper. So Zeke is my number one guy.
Yeah, it's pretty much exactly what I believe. It's the security. Zeke has held up. He has proven. I mean, he was a top 10 back 2 years ago when he only played 10 games. And you look at his 16-game pace last season of 1,530 rushing yards with only 6 touchdowns. It doesn't make sense. So to me, it's a matter of like, okay, maybe Gurley's ahead. But I don't want the risk right now with Gurley. I don't want the risk of a putrid offense. Dallas's offense is good enough. Zeke is the center of it. He's going to get the ball. He holds up, and I think the touchdowns are going to come. If he gets back to his normal touchdown pace, then he should be a lock for a top 3. And when we look at our risk ratings inside the Ultimate Draft Kit, Zeke will have one of the lowest for me.
No, it was a complete wildfire of Zeke points from weeks 10 through 16 to end the year. I mean, just monstrous numbers, 34 fantasy points, 30, 23, 23, 25. You guys make a compelling argument. He led the league in rushing attempts with 304, and that was the lowest for a league leader at the position since 2000. So you need to count on receptions. The question is going to be, is the 77 repeatable? Are those going to change if they feel comfortable with Randall Cobb and with Amari Cooper, who weren't in the fold for the entirety of last year? But I don't blame either of you for making that pick. It's a very narrow decision for me. I have him at 2. So when I say he's not my number 1, he's my number 2. But I went with this guy, Saquon Barkley. He had 121 targets, caught 14 more receptions than Zeke did. And it just comes down to what I think is more guaranteed in the passing game. I think they're going to get very similar volume in the running game. Obviously, Saquon had the 11 touchdowns last year to Zeke's 6, and I agree the positive regression makes sense with Zeke. But it's a narrow margin here between the two. They both put up a quote-unquote good game 94% of the time. They both were absolutely dominant. Saquon never busted in his rookie season at all. He led all running backs in scrimmage yards. The question for him is he bulletproof? What chance does he have to regress in your minds? And does it, Eli's not special, but he wasn't special last year.
Don't tell that to Dave. My goodness.
Dave G?
Yeah, 2020 they got him penciled in already.
Mm.
Break
that pencil. Break it.
The issues with Zeke are basically the offense. If there are fewer touchdowns, he had a lot of big, huge breakaway play touchdowns. Yeah. And while that makes sense because of his talent and his ability to break away, those are the stats that are usually the least sticky. Even for players who have great talent, you can't bank on 50-yard breakaway touchdown runs because he did it last year. So that's the issue. I agree with you that if this was so we kind of put our rankings together in half-point PPR leagues. If this was full point,
would you make the switch?
Saquon would be my number 1 because I do expect Zeke to slightly go backwards in receptions, whereas Saquon, it's hard to imagine him going up from 91 receptions, but I think he might be their number 1 wide receiver now. So with Odell Beckham out of the way, nobody's going to be disappointed with either of those two backs, barring injury.
Yeah. Saquon impressed me so much last year because of the percentage of stacked boxes he faced. He faced 8+ in the box, more than almost anybody in football, and still found a way to have those breakaway runs. I agree; those are hard to bank on. We've seen that year in and year out. It doesn't matter how good you are; those are hard to factor in. But just sheer volume. They're both absolutely outstanding players.
I believe teams this year will start doing the first 11 man in the box defensive formation against the Giants. Against the Giants.
You're not worried about Sterling Shepard outside?
I'm not worried about Eli Manning behind my 11 in the box.
Cover -2.
Yes.
Wow. Christian McCaffrey comes in at number 3. Mike, you have him at 3. I have him at 4. Jason has him at 5. All this for the number 1 most consistent player at the position last season. He finished with 219 carries and 1,098 yards, 7 touchdowns, where he made his money in the passing game. 107 receptions, 867 yards, and 6 touchdowns on 124 targets. For me, the big, not concern, because I don't have great concern over Christian McCaffrey. He's cemented in the top 5. But my biggest question, I should say, and I'll toss it to you guys, is a little bit to do with the offense, with Cam Newton's health. Does DJ Moore take a step forward? What does this offense look like next year? And will they decide to maintain the high workload? Will Christian McCaffrey be able, at his size and stature, to stay healthy through the duration of the year? Those are the questions that I have in terms of Christian McCaffrey. Last year there were 4 games that he didn't even miss a single snap.
Which is
impossible. He's an Iron Man.
Yeah, is he an Iron Man or is he he bucking up against the odds with that kind of a workload? You know, players do that for a while. What do you think? Mike, you have him the highest.
Yeah, long term, heel will eventually wear down, and the rumblings, the whispers from the bushes this offseason have been, we got to get somebody else in there to replace Christian McCaffrey. At this point, it's Cameron Artis-Payne.
I was going to say Cameron Artis-Payne raised his hand.
Who is back on the team.
Yay.
Is he 31? Is he 28? We don't know. But he's back on the team, and he is the primary backup right now for Christian McCaffrey. I think it's safe to say that C.J. Anderson had something to offer, and they didn't want it. They
That's
cut
true.
him.
That's true.
They cut him last year. His role in the passing game is so secure. I can only hope that DJ Moore takes the next step because I want the offense to be better. Only 7 rushing touchdowns for Christian McCaffrey. That can go up when a guy has 200-plus carries, and I think that his passing volume is super safe. So it's like Zeke and Barkley where Christian McCaffrey, I have him at 3 right now. Maybe he's 5, maybe he's 6, but he's going to be incredibly consistent, and I think he's very safe.
Yeah, I've got Christian McCaffrey the lowest of the three of us based solely on Ron Rivera coming out saying they need to lighten his workload.
Did Norv say it?
But that's what I was going to bring up. I looked.
Was
to
Norv
see
in the back shaking his head?
I know, going like, no, you wish, Ron. No, and that's the thing.
I'll run your riverboat.
Last season, coming into the year, I was making the argument that Christian McCaffrey would be a workhorse because of Norv Turner. He just doesn't like RB2s. He's great for fantasy. Like you said, they had C.J. Anderson, the perfect spell to give McCaffrey some rest, and they said, "Go away."
You're in Christian's way, CJ.
So here's the thing, maybe to learn then, because this has been the story of Christian McCaffrey in the NFL so far. Is there's what the team wants to do, there's what Cam Newton's been good at, and then on the other side, there's Christian McCaffrey.
It's too good to get off the field.
He's too good to get off the field. And when push comes to shove, you need to win the game. When push comes to shove, you got to throw to a guy that can catch out of the backfield. Because 2 years ago, we were talking all about, well, Cam's no good at throwing to the running back. No. He just didn't have Christian McCaffrey. It changes the equation. So maybe that means that I'm underestimating him and he deserves that all-pro respect after 107 receptions.
He just has special DNA. Because you can go back to his college, 2015, 337 carries, 253 carries the next year. There's some guys.
Did you see his Twitter post?
No.
Is he showing off in the workroom?
The alley-oop to himself windmill dunk on a 10-foot hoop.
Some people just win the genetic lottery.
So the answer then is you want Christian McCaffrey to get out of the car and help you with your tire.
Heck yeah. Sorry, Andy, my vote has changed.
All right.
He'll lift the car up, slap that tire right on.
Yes. Yeah, he doesn't use any of the lug nuts.
No, he just goes full Flintstones.
It is like a Lego.
He smashes his legs to the bottom of your car.
Oh, and he runs.
And he runs.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's
definitely his off-season training.
He just carries people from to and fro. You'll call an Uber or you'll call Christian? Yeah?
Runs a pedicab service.
All right. Number 4 on our consensus rankings. By the way, there will be 2 early running back ranking shows. Today we're going to cover the top 10, and then we'll jump into 11 through however many we can. Melvin Gordon comes in at number 4. Jason has him down at 6.
What are you doing?
I've got him at 3.
I can say this honestly. The reason Melvin Gordon is down at 6 has nothing to do with Melvin Gordon. It has to do with the 5 guys that I have above Melvin Gordon. I think there's a handful of really, really good running backs this season, including Melvin Gordon.
Yeah, Melvin Gordon, only Todd Gurley has more touchdowns over the last 3 years than Melvin Gordon does. Melvin Gordon gets in the end zone, 38 touchdowns in that span. Gurley has 46. He's been banged up. He was the 3rd most consistent running back, but he missed weeks 7 and 8. He missed weeks 13, 14, and 15. There has been a situation where we've looked at him coming back from injury, and I remember last year when people were wondering, hey, if he's back on the field, do you have to worry about a workload problem? No. Generally, when he's come back from injury, they just give him the ball again. But does that over time, is that a concern for you, Mike, seeing him miss 2 or 3 games each and every year? Doesn't have the opportunity to get up. I mean, last year, 12 games, 885 yards, 10 touchdowns.
It has to factor into your decision when you're going to go all in on Melvin Gordon. I still would take him in the first round. I would take him as the foundational running back for my team. I really appreciate. I had him last year. It was great. I didn't have him in my semis, but he apologized. He apologized to all the fantasy football people out there, so I'd take that in my consideration.
That make you feel better?
It made me feel a little bit better because I know that he wants points too, and he thinks he wants to share his points with me.
That is comforting, right, as a fantasy owner, to know how intimately aware he is of his fantasy total?
Yes, I do appreciate that. I really do.
He could have said, "Screw you guys, I don't care."
Right? No, he wants to be good for fantasy players. The whole reason here, like, if every player,
and for Mike personally,
in this
yes, well, I did interview him.
Yeah,
yes, that's true. If every player in this list,
very important,
was guaranteed healthy for 16 solid games, Melvin Gordon would be way higher. Because on a per game basis, he's unbelievable. He's used as a true 3-down back, and unlike Christian McCaffrey, who might be a better pass catching back, Melvin Gordon between the tackles at the end zone, is a big, bruising back that can really get it done and have a high volume of rushing touchdowns. And so I love him, but when you're talking about the best guys, to me it's always been risk mitigation. It's just trying to say, okay, they're all great. Who's got the biggest chance of missing games or getting injured or things like that? And that's where history just says Melvin Gordon's probably not playing 16.
When you're playing fantasy football, you're weighing a ton of different things: injury concern, history, or in this case, the way I look at it, the offense. I really believe in and trust what Los Angeles is doing.
Oh,
what'd you hear? The beginnings.
I heard it. I heard the little snake slip out.
You've never been to Los Angeles before?
I've ordered it from KFC.
But look, I have more confidence in the opportunities for Melvin Gordon to score on the ground. But, when I look at the games missed and I look at the Iron Man that is Christian McCaffrey, it's narrow. It's real close. I could see those guys flip-flopping this offseason in my rankings, depending on the blowing of the wind.
Sure.
So very tight, very close. We're not breaking news here to say both players are very good. I
agree. But this next player, let's talk about. I want to see why he's so low in your guys' rankings.
Who are you talking about?
I'm talking about Super Camario, Alvin Kamara. Last year, preseason.
I keep thinking I'm going to stop it, and I'm not.
Let it go. Last year, preseason.
Why does it
start
do that?
it over? Last year, preseason, I wasn't fully on board. The amount of carries he had rookie year and looking on a per game basis, he was good, but I saw major areas for regression to happen. And I remember week 1 watching, it was just quarter 1 of the first game, drive 1 of the Saints. And I'm just like, oh, he's just so much better than the defenders out there. Every time he touches the ball, he gets the edge. He skirts a tackle. He's fantastic. And now, unlike going into last year where you thought, okay, his carries could come down, going from Mark Ingram to Latavius Murray, and they'll probably bring in another rookie, I feel like Kamara has solidified himself in the role where on this great offense, he's the dominant one now. I worried about, well, what about his stats when Mark Ingram was back? Well, Mark Ingram's gone. So I think Kamara is, on talent alone, one of the top 3 or 4 backs in the NFL, and now the opportunity should go up, not down from last year.
Is that true and does it matter?
Because, I think it goes lateral.
Yeah, I worry about that. I feel like maybe the shine is off of Kamara, and we saw what he did without any Ingram in existence in the first 4 games. He had 2 absolutely
that's great.
Crazy games. But then they were an incredibly successful team for the rest of the season, limiting his workload, limiting the opportunities for him. Latavius Murray is kind of built to, whether you like it or not, take the ball around inside the 10-yard line. I don't know why I'm concerned, but I feel like they want him around 200 carries max.
It's weeks 7 through 16, so, this is Mark Ingram is now back from his suspension. Kamara is still great, but on a per-points basis, running back 8. So still great, can give you elite week-winning performances, but that's the reason I have him down just a little bit.
He doesn't quite fit the same mold that the guys that I have ranked ahead of him do, where they feel like they are majority owners of the backfield. Kamara feels like
they could vote.
Kamara feels like
and
the most
take over the company.
Yeah, Kamara feels like he is the most important piece and the most talented piece of the backfield, but one that the game plan, almost the way that we've felt about some players in New England over the past few years. There are going to be times, there are going to be games, week 5 last year, 12, 13, 14.
Well, week 5 was when Ingram came back and Kamara was a bit banged up from overusage.
Well, what I'm saying is there are going to be games I think you're going to be disappointed on accident with Alvin Kamara just because of the way that Sean Payton calls the game or the people that are on the field. Again, we're splitting hairs at the top. We love these guys.
Yep.
That's why they're there. But that's why I have them at 6.
Sure. I mean, it really is the tale of how many carries he's going to get. Mm-hmm. Because if he gets if his workload goes down like it did when Ingram was back and he's, a top 8 back, like you said, Mike, then you're going to be disappointed at where I have him ranked. I believe his volume will not be where it was the first 4 weeks when he was so far and away the number 1 back in fantasy, but it will be up from what you had that last part. So I see him as a top 5 back.
All right, I'm more excited to talk about number 6 on our list, Todd Gurley. He's had a very busy offseason by way of speculation, rumor, injury, concerns, the Super Bowl, the odd usage, the C.J. Anderson resurfacing at the end of last season.
The arthritis. Look,
from weeks 1 through 10, he was Todd Gurley per usual. Best running back in football, bar none. Scoring touchdowns. Had 17 last year.
Hey.
Absolute monster. What is the real worst-case scenario for him? Could they draft somebody? Is Malcolm Brown really the next guy up? What do we expect? I've got him at 5. Jason has him at 4. Mike, you have him at 6. I think we're all just hedging.
Yeah, the worst-case scenario for him is that the utilization comes way down and he turns into a Kamara-style usage back, and they bring someone else in to make hay. Here's the reality, though. The Los Angeles Rams are extremely cash-strapped right now. They are not in a position to go out and sign someone big. I mean, there's really nobody else left to sign that's a big name.
Well,
and I don't believe that they'll spend high draft capital at the running back position. So if that's the case, let's say they go in to 2019, which, as I expect them to do, with the roster of Todd Gurley, Malcolm Brown, and John Kelly. If that is their roster going in, I don't think they have the ability to reel Todd Gurley back too much.
That scenario is flaps up. I mean, if they think that they can go into next year, take their chances with the knee, and I guess it'd be flaps down, wouldn't it?
I was just looking that up because I think flaps up slows you down.
I don't fly.
It's a matter of aerodynamics.
Look, put the flaps down.
If you're
creating more drag.
If your plane's on the side of the road, don't call me. I'm not coming. That's fine. I won't tell you what to do. Here's my point. If they go into the season with the mindset that Todd Gurley's our guy and we can just figure it out later, like we're going to go in and we're going to assume he's healthy, and then we'll just sign a player like C.J. Anderson-esque, later in the season if we need to, then that's your best-case scenario for Todd Gurley. I mean, you're gambling with a little bit of risk, but maybe not a lot.
I think that the team actually is showing us that they have massive amounts of confidence in Malcolm Brown. To have C.J. Anderson come in and play great for them for half a year, maybe they think, okay, C.J. Anderson couldn't possibly do this again next year. It was lightning in a bottle. Malcolm Brown got an offer sheet from another team, and the Rams said, Jason, like you said, they're cash-strapped. They're trying to figure things out. But Malcolm Brown was important enough for them to go match the offer and bring him back. I think the team believes Malcolm Brown. And
he was a very good college player.
And he's capable. I mean, he has the same careful with what I'm not saying. He has the same type of skill set as Gurley, where he can be the 3-down type of a player if he needs to be. He's not as good as Gurley, but
we all kind of rolled our eyes when he went out last year, and Sean McVay came out and he was like, "This is a massive blow to our team."
Yes,
but then you saw what they needed from CJ, so maybe it was.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying, Mike. I think the reason they signed Malcolm Brown's offer sheet was because it wasn't that expensive. They're like, oh, all right, we can afford this.
Could have probably given Anderson less, though. Was my point.
Joe Mixon at number 7. He's Mike's number 1 from what I understand.
From April 2nd.
He's our consensus 7. Goes 7, 8, 9 here in the studio. Jason at 7. I have him at 8. Mike has him at 9. In 14 games last season, 237 for over 1,100 yards and 8 touchdowns, 43 receptions. His stat line to me and the way he performed, it kind of reads kind of like a watered-down superback in the sense that the watering down happened by way of a bad offense and bad coaching and a bad quarterback and injuries. And so people are saying, hey, can you take the what do you put on like a go-kart to make it not go fast enough? What do they call it? A governor.
Yes.
Now, can the new head coach take the governor off of Joe Mixon? No, that's the governor, Mike.
Oh, wait.
That's different. They don't put those on the golf cart.
Don't drive me. No,
stop. Third most rushing yards per game last year, despite all of those encumbrances. Okay? And is he ready to take the next step?
Yeah, he is. I mean,
Jason has it figured out.
100%. Joe Mixon is ready to take the next step. The next step is to be a back that touches the ball over 300 times. That's the next step. And you've got Zach Taylor coming in as the new head coach from the Sean McVay breathed on him tree. And so you've got Mixon out there saying he's preparing.
He needs to make a Cologne.
Oh, totally. I would buy it.
I would 100% buy it.
The offensive spritz.
It's
my gosh.
The toilet, Sean McVay.
Yeah, I could just see somebody in Detroit is spraying the heck out of Matt Patricia.
They put it up in the prop plane.
Can we get the aerosol version?
Did you just say a crop plane?
Yeah, a prop plane. They're hitting the crops.
Oh, my goodness.
We're going to supercharge the city with the scent of McVay.
McVay by Calvin Klein.
The point is that Marvin Lewis is out of the way, and they've brought in a coach who wants to go with the newer styles of offense. And they came from having a Todd Gurley, and there are very few players in football that you could even attempt to say, okay, we've got a Gurley-type player. And I don't know if people realize how good, forget the stats, how good Joe Mixon is as a running back. When he was coming out of the unbelievable draft class that had, 6 superstar running backs in it, he was a lot of people's number 1. He was my number 1. As far as just talent goes, he was so good in college in all phases of the game. And so I think he has the talent, and if they will give him the 300-plus touches, which I think they will, he is one of the only guys that's outside the top 5 that I think I could make a legit argument that he could finish as the number 1 back.
Last year was so encouraging because you've had a picture of him in the corner of your mirror for a long time.
Yes.
And to see the talent and the opportunity go up, and to see him take advantage of that opportunity, I think there's a lot of optimism surrounding Joe Mixon, and for good reason.
The problem is the Bengals. I mean,
that's a big problem. The problem for me is just his burst games, like where it wins you the week. He's going to be steady. He'll be an RB1 by the end of the season, but I think you'll have Mixon, and you'll be peeking over the hedges at teams that have guys like Melvin Gordon and Todd Gurley going, man, I wish Joe Mixon would give me 30 points.
All right, James Conner comes in at number 8. Mike, you've got him up at 7. Yep. Jason has him at 8. I have him at 10. I have less confidence in James Conner going into, his first season as really being the guy. Now, last year he was the guy.
First preseason being the guy.
What do you mean?
Because he ended up being the guy last year.
Well, yeah, but he's looking over his shoulder the whole year. or for a large
every week,
a large
wondering
part
if
of it.
Lev Bell's coming back.
I'm not saying he wasn't the guy on the field. I'm saying that there wasn't the team hadn't put all their chips on him from day one, and that's the case this year. I mean, they're saying to James Conner, you're not a stand-in, you're not a fill-in, you're not Lev Bell light. We're not asking you to go do what he did. We're asking you to be you and be the starter. And he was great. He was dominant. 215, 973, and 12. 55 catches. How many is that? 55! Don't do that again. That was rough.
It was sensual.
Yeah, it was troubling.
I hope that was not.
This morning, it was 55 degrees out. And the 7 and the 10-year-old, they both gave me their best rendition. When they asked Siri, unfortunately, has not been
Siri
programmed
can't,
to
Siri
say.
can't Sammy?
What is going on?
I don't know. It's a good one.
Okay, so talk to me about James Conner. Where do you see his ceiling? Where do you see his floor?
So James Conner's ceiling is the history of Mike Tomlin. That's his ceiling. The ceiling is we have a large enough body of work to say that whoever the running back is for Pittsburgh, they've got a great offensive line, great offensive system, is going to dominate for fantasy. They're not going to share the load. They're not going to cede carries to the back number 2. When Lev Bell goes down and, an old D'Angelo Williams comes in, it's your show. When D-Will went down, I forget who the back was at that point.
Is that when we got the Fitzgerald Toussaint?
Yes, I think it was Fitzgerald Toussaint. It comes in, it's like,
Toussaint.
You're the guy. You're the guy completely. So that is what makes us go, okay, James Conner should be an absolute one, should be drafted with full confidence. But on the other side, it's not as the empirical evidence of Tomlin's history says James Conner will be the guy, but you also have to take into account Jalen Samuels last year was really good, and he is a better pass catcher. I mean, he was I think classified as a tight end in college, and now they've got this situation where they shockingly fired their running backs coach, who has been great for a long time.
Well, he told him Le'Veon Bell was coming back.
Yeah, you're gone.
He had to pay.
And they replaced him with the college coach from Jalen Samuels' school, in part because of how prepared Jalen Samuels was. They thought he's a good coach because Jalen Samuels was completely prepped. He had a good teacher, and so that's part of why they brought him on. So now they've got a team kind of doing a little bit of investment in Jalen Samuels, so there is worry. So you've got the empirical evidence versus the speculative evidence.
And 2 elephants are out of the room. I mean, that needs to be mentioned. Last year, Big Ben, I think 5,000 plus yards, 5,129 yards. They led the league in pass attempts by 45. No more Antonio Brown.
That'll come down.
No more Lev Bell. That'll come down. And so I think what happens is I think you see efficiency decline for James Conner this year.
Possible.
And I think you hope that the reliance on the running game, the offensive line, I think you hope that the volume can compensate for the efficiency. He played 13 games last year, and he had 12 touchdowns.
Everything
Does he
to me
do that again on that
down
kind of a pace?
Sorry. Everything to me comes down to Jalen Samuels, what Jason was talking about. Because James Conner is the better runner, the better running back. But Jalen Samuels, he might have an edge on him when it comes to pass catching, but Conner still saw that Le'Veon Bell target share, 71 targets. I mean, that's serious business when you are going to be a workhorse running back. And that's why James Conner for me is number 7. If we knew for sure that it was just James Conner inheriting everything and going right into full-time Le'Veon Bell role, like I talk about with the Colts, I just want the Pittsburgh Steelers running back. He would actually be higher in my rankings. That's why he's down at 7 for me.
All right, you know who I want? I want the Minnesota Vikings running back. Dalvin Cook comes in at number 9 on our consensus. I have him at 7. Mike has him at 8. Jason has him at 11. From weeks 12 through 16 last year, he was the RB6. And my goodness, fellas, there is no one else in Minnesota. Dalvin Cook is the guy.
Amir Abdullah says, how dare you?
Mike, I rest my case. What do we think of Dalvin Cook? I mean, this team, their identity changed over the back half of the year. Obviously, Cook was injured. He was hurt. But he saw almost 17 touches a game when he was healthy.
Look, Cook,
he could be another – like Dalvin Cook, Joe Mixon. Those are two guys I see that could take the next step this season if someone else falters.
100% agree. Dalvin Cook out of college was a superstar coming out of college, was drafted
such a productive
to be that,
collegiate running back.
and has dominated in the NFL when healthy. The whole issue with him is health. He's dealt with several knee issues, and now he has the whole backfield to himself on a team that really wants to get back to running the ball. I mean, if Dalvin Cook is healthy, I love him, but he scares me a lot. These top running backs, I just said a minute ago, I'm more risk adverse when I'm looking at the top guys. He carries a much larger risk to me than some of the others. He doesn't have any history. Like Todd Gurley is dealing with injury risk in his knee and the arthritis and all that. But he has a history of complete and utter domination. He's, an MVP candidate last year. We haven't seen that type of stuff yet from Cook. So this is one of those, like, if you're going to draft Cook, you're taking your shot that this is the year where he takes that leap and starts doing that. Maybe you get a better draft value on draft day, but it's risky.
That's what I was going to say. I think Dalvin Cook is the best combination of upside and draft value available for the entire season. I think Dalvin Cook can finish the year as a top 3 back. I think he can be a top 3 fantasy football running back with what Minnesota wants to do, with what he's been as a pro. He's 23 years old. He's a 4.7 a carry guy in his career. Both of the seasons that he's played, he was 4.8, 4.7. So you're always looking for that in fantasy. You're the combination of draft value
and pass catching
and upside. And he is a pass catcher.
Yeah.
He is a very versatile player. You're not wrong, Jason. He has to stay healthy, but you presume health at a guy at this age, I think, the way he finished the season. And you presume it in part because of the team's confidence in him. They did not go out so far. We've got the draft, but they didn't bring in somebody to compete with him for carries. They practically did the opposite. They let Latavius Murray go, and they replaced him with Amir Abdullah's.
It's not Amir. Amir Abdullah is a special teams player. Right now, the backup for Dalvin Cook as of April 2nd would be Mike Boone, because it's Mike Boone and Rock Thomas. Rock Thomas has gotten himself into legal trouble. Both of those guys are preseason warriors, but they're also undrafted, so we'll see what Minnesota actually does.
They have to bring in other running backs because literally it's Dalvin Cook and nobody.
That sounds great to me. No, you're right. You're right.
I don't draft handcuffs in my redraft leagues, but if I draft Dalvin Cook with my last positional pick, I might take a shot on whoever looks like the best backup for Dalvin.
In 2017, this was super season for the Vikings, right? They were 13-3, one game from the Super Bowl. They were second in rushing attempts in the league. That was the recipe for their success. The 2018 team, they had a better rushing average than in 2017. They just didn't lean on it until the last part of the season.
Yeah.
So
chicken egg. I think because they were winning, they were able to actually run.
In 2017?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there is a bit of that. But when you look at it from kind of a step back and what Mike Zimmer sees, right?
Yeah, that Zimmer wants to run.
Chicken or egg,
Yeah.
he took the chicken approach
Right.
because he eventually changed the team. Yeah, thank you. That's not Isaiah Crowell. That was not Isaiah.
No, it was not.
That's totally different. But let's go ahead and talk about our last guy here as we close out today's episode. Le'Veon Bell, he made the top 10.
Hey, we could play the bell. Do we have the bell sound?
Man. Oof.
He's actually going to play.
That's pretty ominous, though.
Yeah,
That's
it's just rightly so. I mean, he's number 10.
I mean, you wouldn't want that. Like, let's say he was walking into a restaurant to eat dinner.
Here
he comes.
After week 1, if he comes out and has a great week, we'll find a good dinner bell. You know what I mean?
A
Like
dinner bell?
Oh, heck yeah. Like ringing the dinner bell. Like, come and eat. Come on, everybody. It's
Okay.
dinner time.
Isn't it usually a triangle?
Sure,
for
that's
dinner?
great. That's still in the Bell family.
I think a triangle is in the Bell family.
I don't think it's in the Bell family. I think
Giamatti.
you need the dongle in the middle.
Can we get a judge? Is the triangle in the Bell family, or do you need to have the middle dongle?
I'll rule no on that. It's not
Oh,
in
my
there.
gosh. He
Well,
wrote it against?
I
That-
like the Undertaker bell.
That being said,
Come to bed.
nothing makes me happier than a dinner bell because nothing makes me happier than dinner. So should he show out, we are getting a dinner bell.
All right, it's been a while. It's been a bit since we've seen Lev Bell on the field, but
That's what Aaron Lewis would say.
the Jets paid him some cash money. and he is their guy. I have him at 9. Jason has him at 9. Mike at 10. We all kind of agree there. The last time he played, 321 carries, which would have been most in the NFL if it was last season.
Ah, crap. Wait.
What?
I thought Al Borland was telling us that the triangle was a bell, and then I felt bad.
Al Borland being the other production assistant we have here today.
If you don't listen to Spitballers,
he was the producer for the Spitballers podcast. Not the actual Al Borland. That would be ridiculous.
The actual
but
one.
But Richard Karn, you're
real.
invited.
No, it's
the
actually
studio.
him. He's not up to very much these
You're
days.
invited to the studio. You can't speak, Richard, but you can come and watch. Okay? Would you like him over your shoulder? Richard Karn, Mike?
I would not. That would be a little creepy.
You don't want that beard?
No.
The beard game?
So
Still self-conscious?
Here's the deal with Le'Veon Bell. When you give someone that much money, you are committed to giving him that much work. And that's all that matters for fantasy at the running back position is how many times are they going to touch the ball, how much are they going to manufacture things for that player, and Lev Bell has it. But he's on a bottom half offense. Is
that a guarantee, though?
It's not a guarantee. I mean, Sam Darnold could take a step forward if you believe in that.
I think there's some opportunity.
But I would say the odds on
upside's not very high.
Odds on favorite Vegas odds would be that the Jets are not a top half team.
I found a sound effect for their offense.
Oh no!
Perfect. So I mean, it's like
discovered that.
Look at David Johnson last year. David Johnson last year finishes the running back 10. That shocks people.
People hated him last year.
They hated him because he stunk, but he still finishes the running back 10.
Lev Bell's real good.
So is David Johnson.
No, I agree with you.
But now I think that the Jets will certainly be better than the league worst Cardinals last season, but it gives you an example, kind of that comp of a really good running back getting a lot of usage on a team that is not really winning ball games to run the clock out or scoring a ton.
Can he still finish at number 1? The old Lev Bell days.
No way.
No.
That ceiling's gone?
I say no.
It's been removed?
Impossible.
Okay, impossible. What's his real ceiling?
Top 5?
Yeah.
Top 5?
Yeah, I would say is
like in the number 1?
No, I would say like 5.
Like 3 to 5?
Yeah, 3 to 5. Yeah, there you go.
All right, so that wraps it up for the top 10 running backs in our consensus rankings here in April. Zeke, Saquon, Christian McCaffrey, Melvin Gordon, Alvin Kamara, Todd Gurley, Joe Mixon, James Conner, Dalvin Cook, Lev Bell, and we'll proceed with the rest on our next episode. Thanks for tuning in to the show. Oh, wait, I can't stop the show.
I know.
I can't stop the show because we just got an email, and I just remembered that we got an email. Did you see this?
No.
Brooks,
No,
did you see that email?
I saw what the deal was, and that made me real happy.
$48 for a Kerryon Johnson signed jersey on Pristine Auction of the Day.
Jason, what are you doing with your
deal
life?
of the day?
Did the email come from me?
No,
I don't remember.
You did not get it.
I'm saying, why did you not buy that?
One of our listeners got that.
Send it to the studio here,
Say, mail it to Jason.
and I'll forgive you.
That
for
way you
stealing
can put it
from me.
over the one he's already wearing. But hundreds of daily auctions at pristineauction.com. Do not miss it. There are deals each and every day. We bring them up on the show, and they only get better because they keep adding more authentic autographed merchandise. You can always steal something.
I'm going to
legally.
look for Kerryon
You can
right
legally
now.
steal it. All right, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for supporting the show. We appreciate your reviews, your subscriptions. We'll be back on Thursday.
See you next time.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.